And when ChatGPT was introduced in 2022, I feel like that's really when the AI conversation exploded into more of a national discourse. And people felt usually one of two ways about it. Oh, this is really exciting. This is going to make my life easier. Or oh my God, this could potentially steal my job. And I like what you said about the return on investment because while ChatGPT is massively popular, it's not really a moneymaker. So when do you think these companies will see the return on investment?
Well, I mean, if you look at a company like Anthropic, which makes Claude, they have corporate clients. And corporate clients, I think, are going to be willing to pay more. And so that could make it a company that is going to be cash flow positive. ChatGPT is expecting, OpenAI is expecting to lose billions of dollars until, I don't know, 2029. Having said that, I'm kind of a student of, I teach about high-tech companies and high-tech growth. And so, I've written about how Google, for many years, for like 2 or 3 years, Google was giving away that search, the search bar had no revenue coming in. And their investor said, well, figure out some way to make money off of this. And they did. And, now they're, very profitable using that essentially the same thing. So what I'm trying to say is that it's possible for these companies, if they have the venture backing, to continue to operate at a loss and delay figuring out a business model. And then sometimes it's possible for them to figure out a way to make money off of what they're doing. So I do think it's conceivable that the same thing could happen with OpenAI. They could figure out some way to do advertising. I don't really know what the answer is. Obviously, if I knew the answer, they'd make me CEO, and that's not happening anytime soon. So but I do think it's possible that it could happen, that they could figure out a business model that would actually make it a profitable company. But I don't know what the answer is now.
I think we're at this really exciting time, right? Because everyone says this is a paradigm shift. The future is AI. There's the term AI revolution. But when you're thinking about that future, what exactly does that really look like?
Well, you know what? It's actually, in some respects, a scary future for people who are in college right now. I have to say that, as a professor, and I've been working on thinking about the future of higher education in my role there at Babson College. And one of the things I've noticed is that there's an increase in the unemployment rate of people who go to college over the last couple of years, because a lot of companies are saying, I don't need to hire entry level people because I have AI that can do their jobs. Now, they're saying that. I don't know if that's true in all cases. One thing I will say is that any company that hopes to develop the next generation of leaders is going to have to hire young people and develop them. So maybe they don't see a future. I don't know. But one thing I will say is that I talked to the CEO of a company who came to my class on Tuesday, and he was telling the students that the students need to become very good at using AI before they enter the workforce in such a way that they can essentially do the job of more than one person. They can basically be much more productive and add a lot more value at a much higher level than a typical entry level person. And having been somebody who started experimenting with AI, with generative AI, as you mentioned, ChatGPT came out about 3 years ago. I started using it as I was working on my book a few months after it came out, and it's really improved a lot. And I can do a lot more than I could like a year ago. It's really improved a lot, and I find that it is enabling me to think about things and do things that are much more interesting and do it much more quickly. So as long as people are using it and finding ways to make it valuable, I think that they will be able to find jobs. So I think what you're going to see is people doing jobs that are much more interesting, and they're basically augmented by the use of this technology. But if you just ignore it and hope it will go away, I'm afraid people like that may find themselves in a less compelling to employers than people who are using it. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but I definitely think that real CEOs are viewing workers that way. Can they enhance themselves? Can they make themselves more than a traditional person who would just go in and do entry level work by using this technology? And people like that are going to make the company more valuable. Ultimately, what drives value in our economy and this is something I've been studying for decades, is whether a company can simply put, exceed analyst expectations for growth every quarter and raise guidance. In order to do that, you have to invest in new growth curves. And AI can help people create those new growth curves. And to the extent that that happens, companies are growing faster, getting bigger, and becoming more valuable and attracting capital. And so that is a cycle that can continue to happen as long as more and more people figure out how to use AI to solve fundamental business problems in a good way.